Okay, so I thought I would just do a short video to essentially go over the things that I had found in some of these pictures a while back. Sometimes I think it's just easier to explain certain things, at least for me, than to try to type it all out and do circles and things like that. So to start off with this picture, um, there's a few. This is one of the pictures where I personally see items that I know are works of Photoshop and at least picture manipulation. Um, One of the biggest things that stands out to me in this picture is the masking or the masking mistakes that they made. So before I go and show you the masking, I wanted to explain exactly what masking is. Now this explanation is essentially a basic explanation of it, but just so anybody watching this can just have a better idea if you don't know what Photoshop masking is. I found this photograph online, and in a simple form, this is essentially just a stencil. And it's a stencil where it's basically, if this person colored with a Sharpie in here, you're basically saying, I want to see this part of the fabric, but I don't want to see this part of the fabric, or I don't want to be able to, in this case, write on this part of the fabric. That is basically what I would associate as masking in Photoshop. In Photoshop, masking means you're saying to a part of the picture, I don't want to see this part, or I do want to see this part. And that opens up the door and gives you people the abilities to create composites and change things and move people around and lots of it. I mean, it's endless. So another visual example of what I'm talking about is I've got this picture of the Eiffel Tower. I also have underneath it this picture of London. I just found these photos online. If I take this picture of the Eiffel Tower and I click and add a mask to it, I can now start to erase the background of the picture of the Eiffel Tower in France and start to show the foreground, or the background, I mean, of the actual photograph of London. And I can start to erase this guy. See? Now this is of course one of just a quick example just to show you exactly what masking is. But say that I do it roughly like this. Right. And then I take him and I move him. I scale him down a bit. And I put this right there. Now I can mask more of this picture of the Eiffel Tower Obviously, I'm not doing a good job, so don't hold me to this particular masking work, but this is essentially masking. And if I do this and I cut it away, you can essentially make it, I can try to make it look like the Eiffel Tower is further in the background in London, like the Eiffel Tower location, it would be in London. So essentially that's what masking is. You're just telling the, Photoshop, you're saying to Photoshop, hey, this particular picture or layer, I want to see some of it, so I'm going to tell you which part by painting the part in or painting the parts out. I want to see some of it and some of it I don't. And that gives you the ability to move stuff around and put people in different scenes, or like this picture, what I believe, putting a car in a different spot. And what I mean by that is over here, right over here, you can see this guy. We got circling this guy. And this guy. Let's get a little closer. Him and him. And over here, you see this guy and this. These to me are classic poor masking jobs. These to me are basically the parts of the background that the RAV4, where this RAV4 was in, and when they did the same thing I did to this picture and essentially just used the brush tool to paint out the background so that this box background showed through, they missed this part of the picture, this poor masking edge right there. These guys and this guy. See, because it's also the same over here, here, and here. So they miss this stuff, and to me that's a poor masking edge. This is not a shadow that's from behind it. The material, the concrete behind this is not that dark. The actual body line of the bumper goes along here. Goes along here. And here's the edge of the tire. So this part right here is not part of the bumper. It's not part of the tire. It's not a shadow because the shadows aren't going in that direction, which I also think they did a poor job in the shadow as well. And the same dark colored area is also right here and there. So to me, that is a poor masking job that they did. And that, I've cloned stuff, I've masked stuff before. I've been doing it for years. That stands out. There's some things as far as the photographs that I would say, okay, maybe it's iffy. I'm not iffy on this. My personal opinion, these are really poor masking jobs. At the same time, if I brighten up the photo like this, you can see that this shadow right here, this dark shadow that mimics this shape of the rear view mirror, the side view mirrors, I mean, and this one as well. It shouldn't be like that. If you're going by this RAV4 being in this box, and this is essentially the front of the car, so the back of the car is probably a good 4 or 5 feet back there. The background's too far away for it to create not only a shadow that is this strong of a hard line, and to create a shadow that is this close to the side view mirrors and mimic this shape. It's just there's nothing right here. There's nothing right here for the shadow to land on. The wall is all the way in the back, so it's obviously the wall goes from this point of the rear view mirror back to the whole length of the rest of the RAV4, and then I'm sure a foot or two for whatever this object is back here. So that is, in my opinion, too far of a distance to cast a shadow like that. The shadow would be longer, the shadow would be softer, it wouldn't be as bold, and the same goes for over here. The wall is a little bit closer on this side, but at the same time, again, there's the distance from this guy to the back wall, and the shadow doesn't mimic what you would think it would be if it was over actually on the wall like an actual shadow would do. So these two items right here show me that they did also a poor job, and poor job is putting it nicely. A really just shitty job trying to mimic shadows from the flash of the camera. They just did a really crappy job doing that, and the reason why I say that is because also if we look at the shadow down here, this shadow down here mimics, it literally just follows this line. It doesn't like bend or drop onto parts of the ground and the tire that I would think that it would. It just comes, it's a very hard line, it comes up, it's too uniform for me as far as a shadow. I feel like if it's A true shadow right here wouldn't fall like this. I feel like we would see more of the detail of what's underneath it. It is literally just as bold from here to here to here, all the way over. And to me, that's classic fake shadow. I've created shadows before when we've done portraits for people, and I've had to put extended background of the portrait that I was doing, and I had to create a shadow. I've created shadows before, and this is a poor, I think, example of this shadow. So the combination of the shadow, this poor shadow right here, combination of this poor shadow right here that they did a terrible job doing this shadow. They didn't put any shadows on the ground like I think that they should have. This right here, that literally, to me, plain as day, poor masking job that they did. The incredibly fake rearview mirror shadows that they did right there, and the fact that the RAV4 itself looks like it is vertical, or I mean, it is horizontal. It's a little bit more straighter, but the background, this guy, this guy, so you can see that it is crooked. So the fact that they essentially didn't, take the RAV4 angle and make it so that it's the same angle as kind of the back line that should be horizontal, because if the person was standing on a slant and because maybe the ground was just uneven, and what would suggest that is the fact that the wooden box right here shows that it's on a slant where it's going down to the right, then the RAV4 should mimic that, but it doesn't. So all of those, the mirrors, the horizon, the poor masking job, the poor shadows that they made, the yellow at the top of the headlights that should not be there. There wasn't any kind of yellow in the headlights that would be up here. That looks very splotchy. In my opinion, with the time, the years that I've worked in Photoshop, this RAV4 was not originally in this box. It was photoshopped out. Would that be hard to do? Like I said, no. It would not be hard to Photoshop this car out. In just moments I took it and I can put it on any kind of background. I can take this car now, and stick it we're going to put it so it looks like it's driving on the water. So no, it wouldn't be, masking sometimes can be really hard, and sometimes, but the concept of it where you can just cut it out of the background, they had the ability to do this in Photoshop back when in 2005. Photoshop in 2005 had layers. It's just that you have to keep in mind when it comes to masking, what a lot of people miss. A lot of people miss stuff. Like if I was going to completely try to make this believable, like the Eiffel Towers in London, I'd have to get in there with the mask, the brush, and I'd have to take away all of these little tiny spots right here so that you'd be able to see the sky right through it. And that's the part that makes it tedious and just detailed, and you can miss masking lines. And if they were doing a lot of work on other photographs and they were masking this guy out, it's very possible that it's not very possible. I can see the poor masking jobs, the poor masking lines that they did right here, and here and there. So as far as this picture, I believe this RAV4 was photoshopped to look like it was in this container for some reason or another. I'm going to do a few more of these videos to kind of convey a few things that I saw a little bit better, or maybe things that are just buried in comments and stuff, because we've been talking about this for some time, and I'm doing this so that hopefully I can get other people's thoughts and opinions.